Hey folks, this is Russ Irwin from Singing Waters. Just wanting to let you know about our upcoming one-day seminar this Saturday, July 3rd. It's in a response to a lot of what actually God has been doing around here in our midst during our prayer time and over the last couple of months as we've been seeking the Lord for direction. About May 24th weekend, the long weekend, we had a healing conference here. And what we talked about was hope deferred makes the heart sick. You know, there are so many people within, we talk oftentimes about all the things that are happening in the world, but there's so many people even within the church today where their heart is sick because their hope has been deferred. You know, hope is so important because hope is really, in a sense, the basement. It's the foundation of faith. Faith releases the miraculous, but faith is the evidence of things that are initially hoped for. And so we talked about some of the things that defer our hope. And, we talked about a number of very important principles about behavior and belief systems. All those principles are so extremely important, but can I say to you that any principle, no matter how powerful it is, any principle that is separated from the centrality of the cross and the blood of Jesus is void and powerless. I want to ask you a question before we have this weekend course on July 3rd. Are you living a life of passion or passivity? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel fully engaged with your purpose, your calling, your assignment? The reason why I ask you that is because a few years ago, Rick Warren wrote an incredible book called The Purpose-Driven Life, and millions of that book was sold. I mean, people were reading like crazy. It was literally changing lives. And the reason why is because both within the church and within our society, one of the things that people want more than anything is they're trying to find an answer to the age-old question, who am I, which speaks of identity, why am I here, which speaks of purpose, and then what am I supposed to do, which speaks of an assignment. And what we're wanting to do is to help you discover what is your purpose. Let me just write it as a short form. What is your purpose? Your purpose is your God-given assignment. And how we discover our purpose or assignment is when we discover what is the passion that God's placed within us. What are our gifts, our strengths? You see, we're taught in society today that we should really discover what is our weakness, and then we should work on strengthening our weaknesses, because then we'll become a more well-rounded person. But that's not really what God calls us to do. He doesn't want us to strengthen our weaknesses, but rather strengthen our strengths. And so, what are your gifts? And then third of all, very important, what are the constraints? Because when your passion, your gifts, and your constraints come into alignment, when you know what it is, what juices you, what makes you want to get up in the morning, what are your gifts, your abilities, and your strength, and then when you discover what are the limitations that you've placed on your life, or what are the limitations that others have placed on your life because at a very young age, as you were experiencing your environment and your circumstances, life was putting labels on you. And those labels created filters. And those filters created disempowering belief systems and disempowering behavior. There are some people that are extremely gifted, but they're not even aware of what their gifts are, or they don't believe they could have a gift. Why? Because life, at this point in time, they became derailed. Because life, circumstances, maybe the environment around them, poor role modeling, poor parenting, put labels on them. Well, you're just going to be a loser when you grow up. You're going to be just like your grandfather. He amounted to nothing. You're going to amount to nothing. When we choose to wear the labels that life or the enemy tries to put on us, it creates filters. If a label of failure is placed on our lives, then we develop a failure filter. And that failure filter, I could never do it. It would never work. God could never use me. Oh, I don't have the gifts. I can't sing. I can't talk. I can't do what all those other really neat people in ministry do. What happens is that failure filter creates for us disempowering beliefs. And our behavior is always a result of our beliefs. We talked a lot about this in our healing weekend, and so many people's lives were touched and changed. It was like the Lord, the power of the love and the life of Christ was lighting lights, and people were saying, my goodness, it makes so much sense now. What we want to do this next weekend, this upcoming weekend, is we want to go a step further. Well, we want to look at, let's allow the love, the grace, and the blood of Christ. Remember, the centrality of the cross, the unfailing, healing love of a Father to change those belief systems. Because He's changing our filter. He's taking away the labels and He's replacing it with God-given labels so that you become all that He says you're to become. That's destiny. When our beliefs change, our behaviors change, and then all of a sudden, we can now develop a sense of passion in life, and passion with life, and passion with the call of God on our lives. No matter whether we do a large thing or a simple thing, we're passionate rather than passive. And we can begin to discover what our gifts are. We want to help you to discover what is the God-given gift that He's given you, and what are some of the constraints and the limitations that have been holding you back from moving into your destiny. Because, you know, the devil is not so much concerned about the process of your day-to-day journey. He doesn't care how many people you lead to the Lord, how many people get healed, or how many signs and wonders you do. What really scares him is that you might come into your destiny. That's your purpose. That's your God-given assignment. And every one of you have a gift and have an underlying passion and have a God-given assignment, something that God has specifically created for you for. He's created you for relationship, but He's also created that He wants you to be the vehicle of His expression of that love to the world. But these things here have kept so many of us, like Lazarus, bound by grave clothes. And it's our desire here at Singing Waters that you be free, that you be healed, and more than anything, that you take that healing and you move towards your assignment. When we bring an alignment to our passion, our gifts, and we understand what the constraints are, then we can break through those constraints and limitations. When this kind of alignment happens because we understand this and have become free of this, then we move to our assignment. Hey, don't miss this Saturday, 9:30. We'll see you. Thanks a lot.